Bum, bum. Let's see. I'm waiting for people to get in here. As you come in here, drop something in the chat so I can know that you could see and hear me. Hey, Kirby. As you come in, drop something in the chat so I can make sure you could see and hear me. Hey, Catrice. Is it Jocille or Jocelle? Or hey, Molly. Hey, Talicia. Talisa. I'm sorry. I said Talicia. Hey, Talisa. I saw you before in a chat or something. Hey, y'all. I haven't been on YouTube in a while, so I decided to do a live video. Wholesale. Oh, like wholesaling. Got it. Got it. Hey, Sonia. But yeah, I haven't been on YouTube in a while, so I wanted to pop in, say hey. I wanted to talk about some stuff because I've been kind of low key. Oh yeah, that's why I see your name, Talisa. Cause I'm like, I see that name, and I feel like I see it all the time. It's because you're in the eHustle Club. That's right. How are you enjoying the eHustle Club, Talisa? So, how are you enjoying it? Put it in the chat. And for everybody else, where are you checking in from right now? Like, what city and state are you checking in from? Hey, Arabia. You know, Arabia, I tried to send you an email earlier and it told me you wasn't on the list no more, but I was like, how? No way. So make sure you double check that. I don't know how we could fix that. Houston, Texas. Nicole said Atlanta. Yana said, thank you so much for your videos. Help me get all the proper documents, my business stuff in order. Da, da, da. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Congratulations, Yana. Yana, I'm sorry. I'm just adding extra letters to everybody's name. I see Dawn said Little Rock, Arkansas, UK, New Jersey. Talisa says she loves the eHustle Club. It's so much pertinent information. Yes, it is. Catrice, Richmond, Virginia, Columbus, Georgia, upstate New York. I've never been to New York. I need to go, but I don't want to stay for long though. Go for like a hot day and a half. Oakland, California. Claudia said Atlanta. Cleveland, Ohio, Michigan. Hey, Cass. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, y'all. Harlem. Okay. So I want to pop in and just like talk to you guys for a little bit, kind of about where I've been, but I also wanted to talk about rebranding because I know that some of y'all know that I was rebranding both of my businesses actually. I was rebuilding them, rebranding them, kind of like doing that whole shebang. And so my business hasn't been really up and running like that all the way. So I want to talk a little bit about rebranding because I know you guys have some questions about that. So I wanted to answer any questions you had about rebranding, but I also wanted to talk just about like how I was able to still make a good amount of money, right? So I was able to make it was a little over 120K within the span of 4 months. And that's with 2 of those months out of that quarter, I was shut down for rebranding. But there's like a reason why I was able to still make that amount. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to answer any other questions y'all have. I just wanted to really check in. I just really wanted to check in. We could talk about like video topics and stuff, but mainly we're going to talk about rebranding today and like, you know, what I did to ensure that I still generate sales and revenue and keep scaling. Debbie said, I just finished watching your Re-Elevate webinar now. Debbie, how was it? I need to tell them about the webinar, Debbie. How was it? Arabia, I have 2 emails under my name. Okay, cool. That makes sense then if you had 2 emails. All right. Upstate New York. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, Catrice. Did you already say hey? All right. So let's talk about rebranding a little bit, right? So I want to touch on this because I talk a lot about well, not a lot, but recently I was talking a lot about launching, right? And we are talking about brand foundations and things like that. But it's not fair to cater only to people who haven't started, right? So I get questions all the time about like rebranding, how to scale your business. So from people who have been in business for like a year or so, they're like wondering how can they increase their sales and things like that. So I want to answer some of those questions tonight because, they've been neglected for so long. I feel like a lot of people talk about how to start and all that stuff, but they don't really tell you what to do once you start and you're actually making sales, how to go to the next level, right? So having like $1,000 month is great and all, but you want to scale to 5 figures. So I want to talk about some of those questions. Claudia said, I have a business and I feel like I rebrand too much. After rebranding recently, I'm not seeing the revenue that I want. Claudia, how long have you been in business? Put it in the chat box. And so it's funny that you say that. It's interesting because when people say rebranding, I feel like people just think that rebranding is like the visual side of things, when in reality, your brand is way more than visuals, right? And so Claudia okay, so you said almost a year in November. And so when you rebranded, Claudia, what exactly did you do? So all the times you rebranded, what exactly did you do? Right? Because branding is way more than your visuals, right? Visual branding is one thing. So like your logo, your colors, the pictures you use, all that stuff is one thing. Like that's one component of your brand. Like the reason you buy from a business is because of how the brand makes you feel, right? So the brand is an overall experience. So Claudia says she changed the look of her product labels, logos, and pictures. So Claudia, yeah, you just did a visual rebrand, right? So it seems like every time you tried to rebrand, you were doing like a visual facelift pretty much, right? But that's not what rebranding like is in totality. And I feel like people use the word brand so much and so loosely that it's easy for you to get confused on what it is. So what I want y'all to think about is like, why do you choose to shop at a certain grocery store over another one? Or why do you choose to go to Chick-fil-A, for example, versus McDonald's, right? Like there's a reason why you're picking to go one place versus another place, right? And that reason is actually your brand, right? So your brand goes way deeper than looks. Your brand is actually the heartbeat of your business. It's the reason why people fall in love with your business in the first place, right? So when you have a brand, you paint an experience for whoever your customer is, right? So they should be able to feel a certain way when they hear your business name. They should be able to experience something when they come in contact with your business. They should be able to think a certain word or think a certain way when they think about your business, right? And that is what your brand is. It's a total like experience. That's what it is. It's not just the look, right? And so when I did my rebrand for both of our businesses, we actually did like a refining process, which to break it down for you, refining is basically making it better, right? So looking at what you can improve on, looking at what's doing well for you, and then using that to actually scale, right? Using that to actually elevate and get to the next level, right? And so for us, when we went to look at it and we went to refine, we found that we had some issues with our customer journey, right? So basically, like how we were taking our clients from point A to point C. What was happening during that time and what wasn't happening during that time, right? And so for some of y'all, you have like, people will buy from you and then that's it. They never hear from you again until they get the package, right? Their customer journey stops when they buy from you, but in reality, their customer journey actually continues, right? But because you're not paying attention to them after they make a purchase, like you're basically interfering with their customer journey, right? And so back to what I was saying though. But so when we look to refine our businesses, right, we realized there were gaps there. We realized there were some issues with the way we positioned our offers and the way we positioned our pricing. We realized there were some other issues, right? And so what we did was we actually worked to fix those issues to make our brand, right, give off a better experience for who it came in contact with. And then as a result of that, we thought, okay, maybe we should just touch up our visuals just a little bit to match the refined audience that we're actually targeting, right? So you shouldn't think rebrand and think, oh, I just need to change all of my visuals. Like, you need to think from the inside out. It's a refining process, right? So when you refine, you don't even need to visually rebrand all the time, because in reality, refining can look like two different ways, right? So you can either rebrand to correct and like mend inconsistencies and to give an overall new visual to your business, right? Or you can just refine to tweak some minor things that are going on to ensure that it's smooth sailing from here on out, right? So just to give you like some transparency, right? To be transparent with you guys, I refine every single quarter, right? Every single quarter. But does that mean that things about the way that I look or the way that my brands look change? No. But what I do when I refine is I take the time to look at basically all of my data from the past quarter, and then I make decisions based off of that data, so then I can continue to scale, right? And so I'm glad that you brought that up, Claudia, because that is a big thing that I feel like product-based businesses struggle with, is that you get all these tools to start, right? You search all these YouTube videos, you join all these beginner-friendly programs, and you start. But then once you start and you're actually making some sales, then you start to hit a cap where it's like, okay, maybe I'm hitting the cap of 1,000. I done made $1,000 for the past 6 months, or I done made $2,000, $3,000 for the past 6 months, and for some reason I can't seem to scale beyond that, right? And so you're hitting that because you haven't mastered the art of actually refining, so that you can scale, right? So I talked a little bit about that on my free training that I did last night. So if y'all were at the free training, put it in the chat box. I know somebody said they just finished watching the replay of it. So that's cool. But if you were at the free training last night, put it in the chat box. And if you're interested in that free training, let me know so I could drop the link for you. But I also put the link in my description box too, so y'all should be able to see it. Okay. So I see that Jasmine said, I took a hiatus during my rebrand to focus on mental health, and now I'm getting back to it. I originally started my business doing lip products, and now I'm doing skincare for people with problematic skin. Congrats, Jasmine. When did you start your business, and what made you want to rebrand? I'm trying to help some people out. Okay. And Rarity, I think I answered your question by explaining what I did. So, because I see you say, wow, that makes sense. Wholesale said, am I saying right? Wholesale, yes. Said, I was there, very informative. Yes, ma'am. So the description box should have the link to the replay for that, so you could check it out. But Jasmine, tell me a little bit more about why you decided to kind of rebrand. And like, I know you said you stepped back because of mental health, but tell me a little bit about why you decided to rebrand. And how did you decide to make that switch? Because I feel like hearing you, well, not hearing you, but you typing it in the chat can be definitely helpful to some others that maybe are going through the same things, especially when they watch this replay of this live. Hey, now say, I love you, stay blessed. Oh, thank you. I love y'all too. All right. So while Jasmine answers that there she goes. I was about to ask a question, but let me answer Jasmine first. So 2019, my business didn't have a mission, but after watching my mom go through major changes with her skin, I wanted to create a solution for people like her. Okay, cool. So you basically saw that the business that you had before, the problem and solution wasn't there. So now you want to kind of turn that business to something that has a greater purpose, because now you actually developed a full problem and solution, right? Am I right? Am I right with that, Jasmine? Let me know if I'm correct. And that's very cool that you say that, because a part of that, right, something I could be passionate about, right? And some people don't even see that, like, right? So they don't see that as a part of like rebranding. So I'm happy that you said that, because you changing the focus, you deciding that, okay, I'm not selling this type of product anymore. Instead, I want to sell this particular type of product. Or even if you started out selling skincare products and decided to niche down and only sell lip care products, that's still a form of refining, right? Because you can choose to cut back on your products for several reasons. Whether it's because you notice that, like Jasmine, there's a particular problem that you are setting out to solve, and all the extra products may be like added noise that you don't need, or because you realize that, okay, you're doing all this stuff, putting out all these products, but people only really buy this particular type of product from you. So maybe you need to listen and pay attention to your audience and then refine so that you can focus just on that product, right? So I'm happy that you said that, Jasmine, because that is major when it comes to rebranding and refining. And so, Jasmine, did you get a chance to hop on the free training last night? If not, definitely check that out because I feel like that'll be very helpful. It was about an hour and a half if you take out the Q&A part. So just carve out an hour and a half. Now the replay does expire. Well, it's not 48 hours anymore because it was 48 hours as of last night at 10 o'clock. So it's going to expire probably in around like 30 hours or something like that. So make sure you check it out. So carve out the time either tonight or carve out the time tomorrow before 10 o'clock to watch it so that it doesn't expire on you. Okay. But I feel like that'll be very helpful because in that training, we went deep, right? So in that training, I shared like the scaling blueprint. So how to scale, the steps that I take to kind of refine my brand and scale my business. And so that will be definitely beneficial to you because we mentioned like rebranding and things like that in there. And what you're doing is technically rebranding and refining. So go ahead and check that out. And on there as well, I spoke about a way that you can work with me if you are going through a refining and a rebranding process, and if you have been in business for over a year. So definitely check that out, Jasmine, because that may be really interesting to you, and it may help to have that added support as well. Junk Journal said, I'll have to watch it, learning so much. Yes, you could check it out. I see a question about Etsy. I don't really discuss Etsy, so I cannot fully answer your question. But I do know that Etsy has like ads where they'll promote your listing and things like that. So maybe check that out. I also know that Etsy is very keyword heavy. So that means that when you're creating like your descriptions and your tags and stuff, you have to make sure that it's very relatable to whatever it is that you're listing on Etsy, right? So that's as much as I know, to be completely honest. I I don't really study Etsy. My zone of like expertise is like product-based businesses who are selling in their own online space. So they have like their own websites and things like that. And a lot of the people who I help, they're on Shopify or like Wix or something very similar. So Etsy, I'm not like completely versed on. Molly, what's your question about Shopify? What's your question about Shopify? So while we're on the topic, right, I just want to talk a little bit more about like, how do you know that you're hitting like a roadblock, right? So put in the chat box, like, how many of you guys have been in business for a while? So if you've been in business for more than 6 months, put it in the chat box so I can see. You're welcome. If you've been in business for more than 6 months, put it in the chat box. I don't know what documents you're talking about. If you're talking about legalizing your business, you need to legalize your business for a number of reasons. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really give you lawyer advice. But yeah, you can have a store on Shopify without having your business completely legal. But I believe Shopify it depends on where you live at. They ask you for your EIN, I think. Okay, so Claudia says she's been in business for more than 6 months. Rarity says she's been in business for more than 6 months. Tranquility said I've been in business for 1 year. So yes. So, Mommy and Sunshine says 16 months. So I want to talk to y'all, right? Because like I said, like the beginner friendly stuff is great. And I have a lot of that content on my channel, but I also get a lot of questions, right? Because for me, right, I've been in business for about 2 years and some change now. And I've been able to go from literally barely making 4 figures a month to making 4 figures. And then I'm now making 5 figures a month, right? And so what I did there is I kind of worked my way up a ladder which is what you call scaling, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about scaling, because once you've been in business for a while, especially, 16 months, right? It's time for you to start thinking about scaling, right? Because what you're going to realize is as you're working like in your business, you're going to start to get frustrated because maybe you're trying marketing strategies that never seem to work for you, or they don't work consistently for you, right? And so I want to talk about how I'm able to create marketing strategies that give me results every single time, right? And then you may also realize that you're getting all these orders. Like I have a lady who was in the training last night. Well, a couple of ladies who was in the training last night, and they're like, that's my problem. Like, I can't keep up with everything that I'm doing. I can't fulfill the orders and be my own website maintenance person and be customer support and actually make the products and do all this stuff. And so when you start to get in business for a while and you start to actually generate sales and things like that, like you start to realize that you need help, right? Whether that's one person or whether that's a team of 5, you realize that you need some help. But for some reason, you can't tend to hire good help, like to get an actual solid team, because you don't have the funds to actually support that team, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about how you can create marketing strategies that generate results, how you can make sure that you scale up so that way you have the money to build a team, but also so that you can live the abundant lifestyle that you're working so hard for, right? And so I just want to talk about like my experience and my journey, because it makes sense once I get to this point where I'm making 125K in 4 months. It makes sense to know where I came from, right? Because I like to be honest with y'all, right? So pretty much, when I started this business, when I quit my job, right, I just had the goal of making $45,000 a year. Why? Because that's how much I was getting paid from my corporate job. So I was like, okay, I'm good if I just made 45K. I'll make it by. I'll be okay for like, I don't know how long, but maybe the rest of life. I don't know what I was thinking back then, because when I look back at it, I'm like, why would I even underestimate myself like that? Like, why would I lowball myself, right? But then what began to happen is during the first year and a half, right, I started to be on like this sales/revenue roller coaster, right? I'll be up 1 month, down the next month, maybe go real good for 2 months, drop down the third month. It was like a roller coaster, right? And within that first year or so, my highest month was $7,000, right? And I was so happy about that. Like I was bragging to everyone, including my parents. And my parents are from the island. So if you bragging to island parents, you better be doing something good. But I was so proud of making that 7K, right? And what happened after that is I actually started to flatline, right? And so during my year and a half, as business started to pick up, I was like, okay, I need to build a team. I need to do this. I need to do that. But I was play building a team, right? So I was hiring interns who didn't really care about what they were doing. They were in and out. I was hiring freelancers that were affordable, cheap, whatever. They did things here or there, but they didn't really they didn't fulfill their duties all the way, right? And I was doing all this because I wasn't making enough. Back then, I thought I was making enough, but looking back at it, I wasn't making enough to get the type of help that I actually needed for my business, to hire the type of people that I needed for my business, or to maintain my business, period. Like I wasn't making enough, right? And so I was constantly trying to grow, right? So I want to put quotations, because when you start a business, you're in the growing phase, right? And you experience growing pains, right? But to me, once I've been in business for a year and I've consistently saw profit from that, I've consistently saw some type of results from that, it's time for me to start thinking bigger, right? It's time for me to stop trying to maintain and trying all these growth strategies. And it's time for me to start to think about what's called scaling, right? But back then, I didn't even know what scaling was. So of course I didn't know how to scale, right? I didn't know what it was. So how could I know how to do it, right? So for me, all these things that I was experiencing, I could not pinpoint why. I couldn't pinpoint why I kept hitting these sales roadblocks, why I kept on this roller coaster, right? I was stressed. I was tired because I was working all the time. Literally, I was working nights, weekends, holidays. Y'all, if I had a picture, I'm gonna ask my fiance, because if I could find a picture, I'll make sure I post it. because I was at the Thanksgiving table. I think this was 2019. Yeah, I was at the Thanksgiving table with my laptop working while everybody's eating, laughing. They was doing Douce shots. Like, I'm over here on the computer working, right? Charles said, please, thank you. Yes, Charles, I'm telling you, I'm giving you all the tea right now, right? And so I'm here working. I'm stressed. I'm tired. I can't even enjoy the holiday, right? Not only that, but I was missing huge revenue peaks because I was underestimating my product's value, right? I was basically pricing my products too little and I was trying to sell too much because I thought selling more means that I would be able to make more. Once again, that was a growth strategy, when in reality, that's not what I needed to do, right? Not only that, but I was struggling with retention, right? So trying to retain people in my community, trying to retain customers, clients was very hard for me, right? Because I didn't have a clear-cut customer journey, which I kind of talked about a little bit earlier on this live. So if you missed it, you got to watch the replay. But I struggled with retention. And then my abundant lifestyle was all a dream back then. So I wasn't able to attract the right people to my business. And I had this dream of building like a memorable, long-lasting brand so that I can enjoy life. But it was all a dream, literally, right? And so for me, I was super frustrated, right? So how many of y'all who've been in business for a minute, right? So Claudia, Rarity, Mommy and Sunshine, Tranquility Beauties. I think Charles said he's been in business for a while. How many of y'all are frustrated, right? How many of y'all have experience where you're working all the time around the clock on your business, where you're dreaming of this abundant lifestyle, where you're trying to retain your customers and nothing is working, right? So I know I'm not alone. Okay, good. Because I was like, whew, please tell me I'm not alone in this, right? Exactly, right? And so what happened next was I ended up getting engaged, y'all. And when I say this, like, people think I'm joking, but when I got engaged, it woke me up, right? And somebody told me in the live last night that nothing wakes you up more than having kids or getting married, or it was something else they said. But when I got engaged, I was like, oh shoot, I need to get my stuff together. Like, I need to get my finances in order. I need to make sure something is shaking, because I can't be a bum. I don't want you to be married to a bum. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I always think like the worst. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be a bum. I can't, what you call it, default on my bill. So I need to figure out a way to pay off my car, actually pay my student loans, do all this stuff. Yes, like nothing wakes you up more than that, right? So pretty much, like, I got engaged and it woke me up, right? And so I did like a mindset shift, but then I came up with a strategy, because the one thing about me is, like, if plan A don't work or plan B don't work, I'm gonna come up with a plan C, right? And so at the time, my plan A and B all related to they were all related to trying to grow, right? And so my plan C was me coming up with what I call my scaling strategy, right? So the strategy that I came up with allowed me to use my data, right? Stuff that I was already doing, numbers from what I was doing already, to actually refine my brand and scale my business, right? And so I want to emphasize that, because for a lot of y'all who've been in business for a while, you're not paying attention to that data. Data gives you the answers that you need, right? And then you use that data to come up with a strategic plan so that you can continue to scale no matter what, right? And so here I am a year later, right? Some change now, but a year and some change later, here I am where I have a team. I have a team of 9, right? Soon to be 10, because we're hiring right now. So I have a team of 9, right? I've gotten to the point where I already mentioned to y'all, I made 125K within a span of 4 months, right? Which is insane, coming from me struggling to make 45,000 a year, struggling to get to that 7K a month again. I'm making 125K in 4 months, right? Right? Which is insane. Then on top of that, I have a solid community. So I know for a fact, like, if I were to come out here and recommend anything or sell anything, I know for a fact my brand is so solid that people would be engaged, right? They would be engaged into whatever it is that I'm offering, right? And so that was super important for me. And then the abundant lifestyle, like, I'm living it on a day-to-day, right? So I'm literally traveling. I don't know if any of y'all follow me on Instagram, but if you don't, follow me, right? But this month alone, I've traveled every single week. I kid you not, every single week. First, we went to LA. That was for 4 nights. Was it 3 or 4 nights? I forgot. I think it was 4 nights. I went to LA. We did first class the whole way, like the whole 9 yards, food, drinks, all that, laid back, flat chairs. Like we did that type of first class, not the first class where they just put you in the regular seats. We did that, right? Then last weekend, I went to North Carolina, right? And then, oh, and the thing about the first class flights too is I bought them flights hecka last minute, right? I knew I wanted to go to LA, but I didn't buy those flights until the week of, y'all. And if you know anything about airline tickets, you know that when you wait till last minute, the prices go up real high, like skyrocket. But I was able to do that, right? I still kicked myself in the butt for doing that. I should have bought it when I knew I wanted to go to LA. But nonetheless, I was able to do that, right, without hesitation. And then I'm going to Miami this week, right? So I'm able to travel and do all this stuff. I'm able to afford the wedding that I want, right? The wedding that I deserve, honestly, not that I just want, a wedding that I deserve, because I've been able to execute this strategy that allowed me to refine and scale my business, right? Sonia said they said bills. Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it was. Bills will wake you up. Yeah, maybe. Aya said, so glad to meet you on live. I want to personally thank you for having the online video with website assistance. My business grew ever since I put it on the website. Good job, right? Claudia said, this live is in alignment with how I've been feeling. I know my business will grow. Right, Claudia? I read your mind, right? And so for me, that's where I'm at now, right? But how I got there was because I came up with that strategy, right? And literally, when I tell y'all my strategy is all enrooted in data, I am not lying to you, okay? It's all enrooted in data because data is what allows you to refine so that you can elevate, right? And I'm not nowhere near my peak. I continue to elevate, right? I continue to grow, right? I don't even want to use the word grow because I don't like that. I like evergreen growth, right? That gives me more of what I'm looking for, right? I continue to scale, right? Because I have this strategy down packed. So what I do is at the end of every month, I collect my numbers, right? So about 3 days out the month, I like to zone out a little bit as much as I can, right? And I like to collect all my numbers and I look at them, I put them into reports, right? And then I move on. I do it for the next month and I do it for the third month. And then at the end of the quarter, I look back on the quarter as a whole and I make decisions based on what went well that quarter and based on what didn't. So then I can move forward next quarter and either continue with things that were already working for me so that I can hit those goals again, or I escalate what was already working for me in that quarter so that I can hit higher goals, or I noticed that something wasn't working that well for me. And then I have to either tweak it, fix it so that it could work itself out, or I need to cut it off, period. Right. But what I don't do is I don't just throw spaghetti at a wall, right? Because that's what some of y'all in here are doing, right? So for all my people who've been in business for more than a year, Claudia, Mommy and Sunshine, Rarity, like how do y'all come up with y'all strategies? How do y'all come up with y'all marketing strategies? And be completely honest. Like, are you throwing spaghetti at a wall? Claudia said, funny thing is, I'm an accountant and I know about reporting. I've been sleeping on my business. Right. And the crazy thing is, Claudia, is like, it's not your zone of genius. So sometimes it doesn't even register to you. Right. So you're really good at being an accountant. So when it comes to budgeting and knowing how much to set aside for investments and stuff like that, you think like that automatically. But if it came to anything else, sometimes it doesn't click at all. Somebody put the spaghetti emoji. Exactly. Yes. Drop the strategy that you use for your marketing right now in the chat box. Use an emoji because that was real cool. Right. And so for me, like, I love to study data, right? And I love to use it to make decisions. But ask me to do algebra real quick or ask me to budget, I'm not doing it. Like, if you ask me to budget, like for myself, my personal self or whatever, I'm like, it stresses me out. It's weird, but it's just how you're wired as a person. So it's completely fine. Don't beat yourself up about it. But then that's why you have people like me, right? Who come in and remind you what you should be doing in your business and can actually help you to get there, right? And so Rarity said I was throwing spaghetti, but I recently looked at my numbers yesterday. Not yesterday. I'm a spaghetti thrower. In finance, we use the account to forecast next quarter. You are doing it, girl. You're doing finance. But when I hear finance, I stress out. I have an accountant. Well, I have a CFO. I don't do the financial forecasting stuff. She breaks my numbers down. She tell me what's going on, like projections, all that stuff. And I do it on this scale. I focus on the branding and the promotion of my brand. Like that's what I focus on. Like for some reason, it doesn't click to me. Like it's really weird, right? It's really weird, right? And I'm pretty sure that Claudia agrees with me because for her, she knows what she's doing in the accounting world, but she don't know what she's doing. Like she can't apply it to the business for some reason, right? But the point I'm trying to make is like, so I do that. That's what I do. So if you want to use that, you should write that down and make sure that you at least try to build that habit, right? So that way you can at least look at your numbers and try to make some type of sense out of your numbers, right? But I do that consistently. And when I tell y'all that when I started to do that consistently, that is what allowed me to scale, right? Because what happens when you throw spaghetti at the wall is you're trying to do things that are working for other people. The reason they're working for other people won't mean that it will work for you. I'm going to say it again. Just because something is working for somebody else doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. You have to know what your brand stands for. You have to know who your audience is, and you have to know what works and what doesn't for your business in particular so that you can keep doing what you need to do to get to your goals, right? To reach your goals. You need to do that, right? You can't look at everybody else, right? You can't get shiny object syndrome. You can't do monkey see, monkey do because it will never work. It will never work. And I'm pretty sure y'all got some family members or friends or something in your life was going real good and somebody tried to copy you and they failed miserably because they're not you. They don't know exactly what you do, right? They don't know exactly what you do. So somebody said, I look at what's been selling the most and what's been sitting, I'm guessing, and come up with a plan. Okay, so that's an aspect of it, right? And so I'm gonna let y'all in on something else. I don't just look at sales. Sales are not the only numbers that are there to look at. Sales are not the only numbers that they're there to look at in your business at all. And that's a huge mistake as well. A huge mistake is when you think that looking at your sales will answer all your questions. It doesn't. And that's the reason your questions still go unanswered. That's the reason you're still trying to get past a certain spot. Okay? That is the reason. Sales are not the only numbers. Okay? Somebody say yes, repeat that. Know what you do best and don't compare. Anna, the first year of business is all about trial and error. Yeah, like I said earlier, the first year of business, you're in when you first start a business, you're in the growth phase. So you need to, but even then, there's a strategic way to do that. And that's what I talk about in my e-hustle club. If you're in the beginner phase, you're just launching, you're about to launch, the e-hustle club got everything that you need to make sure that you start off on the right foot so that you can actually make less mistakes. And then you can know how to maneuver if things weren't to flow your way, right? That's what we talk about in the e-hustle club with all the classes, right? But what I'm saying is, so sales, right? Sales are a result of you having a consistent brand and you having a strategy. That's what sales are. They're the result of you having consistent brand and you having a strong strategy. So if you look at sales, sales are just giving you like, I don't even know how to explain it. I can't think of a metaphor right now, but just looking at sales isn't going to do enough for you, right? There are things that you have to look at, right? You have to look at certain engagement stats on certain platforms that you use. You have to look at, particular data, even about your audience. Data runs so deep about your audience. You can look at things like that, right? And so to give you an example, right? I'm gonna break it down into 4, right? So for me, what happens when you don't do any of this stuff, right? What happens when you have an inconsistent brand? What happens when you lack strategy? What happens when you don't know how to refine is you end up with one of 4 things or all of 4 things, right? You end up with what I like to call WP squared because I like to put like little names to everything, right? So you end up either with the wrong people, with the wrong prices, poor products, or poor messaging, right? And so what I mean by the wrong people is because you're not looking at certain data that your audience is giving you, because you're not looking at certain like answers your audience is already giving you, because you're not doing the research into your audience and using data, proven data already, you begin to misinterpret your audience, right? And so when you misinterpret your audience, it causes you to attract the wrong people. And the wrong people that you attract just set you up to not move anywhere. It's going to set you up to stay where you at in business, or it's going to set you up to crumble, right? And so when you've gotten to a point where you're established in business, right? You have enough data on your audience that was rocking with you, and you have enough data on the audience that wasn't rocking with you, so that you can refine your target audience and know exactly who they are, right? So that's one. Two, right? And actually, let me give you, well, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna drop some gems later, right? But these are all gems. The next thing that you could be wrong at is you could have the wrong price, right? So when you don't know what you're doing, when you don't pay attention, right? You get lost within your industry, and then you begin to like lose your competitive edge. So then you start to underestimate your product's value. So you start to underprice yourself. And then when you do that, you set yourself up for failure again, right? Because if you want to be a luxury brand, right? Let's say you want to be, I don't know, let's do a luxury face cream or something like that, right? You want to be a luxury face cream, yet you pricing your items at $5, right? How does that make sense for the particular audience you're trying to attract, right? And once again, this is just an example because I don't give cookie cutter information. I like to know exactly who I'm talking to, what your brand is, stuff like that, to give you real numbers and things like that. And I can't do that on a live because obviously I'm talking to more than one person. But let's say, you price it at $5 for your face cream, and your audience is used to spending $40 on anything that goes on their face because of the type of audience you're trying to attract. If you come to me, right, my facial stuff don't cost I'm right under 40, my facial stuff, right? But if you come to me, and I'm a person who loves to invest in my skin, right? I love luxury skincare products. So I'm used to spending $40, whatever, per product. And you come to me telling me that your product could do the same exact thing and that your product is for me, my specific problem, my specific segment of an audience. You tell me that, but you're telling me it's $5. I'm going to think that something is wrong with it. And then I'm going to run away because I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with the $5 product you're trying to sell me when I am used to the high and bougie side of things. I don't want it, right? And so your business may not be positioned as a luxury product, but I just want to give you an example, right? So when you look at nothing when it comes to data, or when you only look at sales per se, like you're going to end up with either the wrong people, the wrong price, poor product, or poor messaging, right? And so with poor products, that's kind of self-explanatory, right? So basically with poor products, it means you lose confidence in what you sell, right? Because you lose confidence in the problem and solution that you're solving. So a good example is Jasmine earlier on this live. She said that she realized that she wasn't really doing nothing with her product before. She wasn't solving the problem that she wants to solve because she knew that there was a pain point within her audience. And guess what? She took a step back. She realized what that was. And now she's pushing forth products that she knows targets her audience problem, right? She knew that her mom struggled with a particular skin issue. And she was like, let me create products for that instead, because that hits home for me, right? And so that reason is different for everybody. But when you lose confidence in the problem or solution that you're trying to solve, you're going to try to sell everything under the sun because you're trying to make more money. So now you become the flea market. You selling everything. When in reality, like, the only reason you're selling everything is because you didn't even know what you should sell in the first place, because you never did your problem solution analysis, right? You don't know what your problem solution analysis is, or you lose confidence in that because of the inconsistencies in your branding, because of the lack of strategy, because you don't know how to scale, right? And so instead, you should actually be focusing on what's representative of your brand and what's best for your audience, right? And so somebody said, consistency is my problem. Somebody said, hey. Somebody said, I've been looking at it all wrong. I'm definitely looking at sales. I'm just realizing how much knowing your target audience affects your business. Claudia said this makes sense. Claudia been rocking with me. Shout out to you, right? And the last thing is you can have poor messaging. So this one is obvious as well, but if I'm confused about my brand, if I don't even know what worked for me before and what didn't work, my messaging is never going to hit home for my audience. My messaging is never going to be on point for my brand because now I'm just putting out random stuff, either stuff that came off the top of my head that I just thought about randomly, or I'm putting out stuff that I saw other people put out. And now the messaging isn't hitting home, right? So you're not getting any results. That's crazy to me, right? That is insane, right? Because your messaging is a direct reflection of your brand, right? And your messaging can improve if you actually pay attention to your data. Legit, right? So the funny thing is, I want to give like an example, right? I'm going to give 2 examples. So one of the clients that I worked with in the past, she was having like issues with her messaging, right? Well, more than just her messaging. So we worked on a couple of things, but in particular with her messaging, she was having issues, right? So what we did, right? What we did is we identified her brand's true story, and then we used it to develop what I call PMV statements, right? And so PMV statements is something that I could tell you about once you become a client, but we use it to identify her PMV statements. And then what we did was we took those statements and plugged it into my content conversion system to create social media content. What happened next was insane, right? When we looked at her sales, right? We looked at her sales for the next month. I believe, I'll be lying, it's like a month and a week. When we looked at her sales, over $4,500 came straight from social media. And then she had $6,500 come directly to her website, right? What does that tell me? That tells me that the content that we're putting out worked because you're getting direct to social over $4,500, right? And then with direct to your website, right? People see something, they like it, they save it, they come back, they just visit your website randomly because they remember what you posted, right? And so honestly, some of that direct traffic to her website, that some of that 6,500 is still accounted to the messaging that she put out on social media, right? So if I look at it, I'm honestly going to say I'm counting at least 6,500 of the 12,000 she made that month and a week to her messaging. Rarity say you dropping gems. I've been doing this all wrong. Right? That's what I do, Rarity. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate like, is this helping y'all? Because I feel like I'm talking, but I don't know, because the chat is kind of like, is this helping? I know there was a handful of people here that have been in business for a while. Somebody 16 months stuck out to me. So I keep thinking about the 16 month, right? It's absolutely helping. Okay. So that's an example, right? And then I want to give y'all an example because y'all always ask about ads. So let me give you an example that contains ads, right? And so this is going to relate to you attracting the wrong people, right? So let me show you what happens when I show you. I'm going to tell you. But let me tell you what happens when you attract the right people. And y'all, I can't believe my edges actually held up today. Kind of. The one at the top is gone, but the edges on the side kind of still look good. But anyway, let me tell you what happens when you have like the right people, right? So what happened was a client came to me saying that she wanted to grow her email list. She had been doing all these things, putting out all of this content, putting out, in person, saying all these things to people, trying to get them to join her email list. She had been doing giveaways, all this other stuff, right? And so what I did was I said, okay, let's look at your audience, right? Let's look at your audience. Let's refine some things within your audience. So that way it could be more solid, right? Because she had been in business for a while. I can't remember the number of years, but she had been in business for a while. And so after we refined her audience, we then created an ad, an intentional ad. I want to use the word intentional because what some of y'all are doing on this live is y'all are going and y'all either hitting the promote button on Instagram, or if you know how to use Ads Manager, you're going behind Ads Manager and you're plugging up putting, everybody 45 and under, who's a lady, whatever. You're doing all this stuff. Maybe you're plugging in some interest, but you just plugging in interests that you think work, right? You have no actual no actual proof, right? And so what we did was we refined her audience through research methods and through studying her actual data. And so we built an intentional ad with the goal of building her email list. Her initial goal, I think, was to hit like 500 or 600 or something like that on her list in 2 months, right? In about 2 months, she secured over 3,500 emails. And what is even more important than that, right, is that she had an open rate of 24%. When I tell y'all that's major, because I want y'all to Google what the average open rate is for your industry. She's in the cosmetics industry, but I want y'all to Google what the average open rate is, right? These people were opening her emails, and better yet, they were buying. She told me, like, I can't remember the number of sales, I think it was, but she would get sales within like an hour of sending her emails, right? And the cool thing about this ad is we weren't running a giveaway. We weren't giving away nothing for free. We was running an ad to a quiz about beauty. So, if you're not interested in beauty, you're not taking this quiz, right? And so the fact that she got that many people to take the quiz, which built her email list, it shows you that that ad was very intentional, right? And so now that she got that large list, she's making sales from it, et cetera, right? This is one of the reasons too, for somebody who said, I just look at my sales. This is one of the reasons you shouldn't just look at your sales. We made this decision by looking at her consumer data and refining her audience. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? Charles said, absolutely helpful. Akara said, I'm in the middle of launching. Some people I think are joining like late, but it's helping. Okay, good. Claudia said, wow. Yes, exactly. So we were able to do that for her through that ad, right? And so I want y'all to make sure y'all taking notes. I hope y'all taking notes because I know this was just sporadic. I just came on live. I'm so sorry. I should have told y'all grab a notebook or something. Have y'all been taking notes? Put it in the chat box. Do you have something you're using to take notes? I am so sorry. The good thing about YouTube Live, though, is it's going to save it. I don't know how long it takes to go up, but it's going to save it. So you can always rewatch it and take some more notes. But if you don't have a notebook or something, grab your notebook. I'm so sorry, y'all. But who already had their notebook or their notepad on their phone or something opened up? Let me know in the chat box. That is my B, y'all. I'm so sorry. Right? So those are 2 examples, right? And so I'm going to just give y'all examples of each of them because I got them because I got receipts for days, right? And so when it comes to your product, right? Because somebody said, how do you refine your audience? Okay, I'll answer that a little bit later. The brand is about paying experience. So I'll leave some room for y'all to ask some questions in a second, right? But even when it comes to your product, right? You want to identify weaknesses and strengths within your product, itself within the product. How is the quality of the product? If you sell something that is formulated, like a cream or oil or something like that, how is the actual product? Based on what you're selling, there are different things that you're paying attention to. If you sell things like clothing, right? What are you looking for when it comes to quality? What, you know what I'm saying? What is that? What does that inspection look like? You want to identify the strengths and weaknesses within your product. And then you also want to identify the trends, right? So somebody said earlier they pay attention to what people are buying the most of. That's why I said that's a part of it, but that's not all of it, right? So you want to pay attention to trends, right? So with this particular client, we looked at her weaknesses, her strengths, her trends within her products and all that stuff. And we improved her product positioning and also refined her product lineup, right? Because she was selling a little bit of everything and it wasn't working out, right? And then once again, because y'all love this running ads thing, even though that's not the only way, but we set up an intentional ad for her with this product that was refined and it made her 4K in 1 week, which is insane, right? Insane, right? Somebody said, you're good. We're grown. LOL, you've been dropping jewels. Note taken. Okay. J Quav or J Quave said, y'all should have been taking notes. I don't need to check up on y'all. Okay. All right. Somebody said, I'm driving and listening. Please be careful. Okay. I've been here since the beginning. Just learn how to chat. I'm a dinosaur. All right, cool. I'm a paparazzi consultant. Could you help me? I watch all your videos. You help me build my Okay, so I'm gonna answer those questions in a second. But that is just like, those are just some examples, right? And so, like I told y'all, like I literally refine my business all of the time. It is a habit for me, right? And it is a part of my strategy, right? And so what I do is, once I look at certain things, right, each and every quarter, I come up with an elevation plan, because my goal is to get better than I was before, so that I can keep on elevating, or in other words, scaling, right? Till I get to the point where I've made, well, not even, because once I make $1 million every quarter, I don't even think I'm going to stop there. But the point is, I keep scaling, right? Because even if you look at major corporations, what do they always do? They're always figuring out how to scale, how to be even better, right? They're always trying to figure that out, right? Sometimes you'll come into the point where maybe they've been failing so much they're just trying to maintain. But I'm not there yet, and you shouldn't be there yet either, right? You really shouldn't. Okay? So right now, like if you've been in business, homie that was in business for 16 months, I saw somebody else a little over a year. Someone else said October makes them a year. You've been in business for a while, right? Focus on the scaling part of it, okay? Focus on that, and I promise y'all that helps so much. Like y'all heard my story. I started off just trying to make 45K in a year, right? And then I continued to scale from that after I learned the keys, after I learned how to do certain reports, after I learned how to make decisions based off of those reports, how to come up with a strong strategy. Once I paired that with what I knew about branding already, the rest is history, y'all. I promise y'all. And the funny thing about the money that I made, that 125K, it was during the point where I wasn't even fully here, right? My businesses weren't fully functioning. I was shut down for 2.5 months, right? So the number that I say, 125K, a little over 125K, right? I made within quarter one and quarter two alone. 2.5 months out of quarter one and quarter two, businesses were down, barely moving. So that's why I said I made that within 4 months, because in reality, I did. And when my accountant saw that, well, my CFO, she was like, that's insane, because you literally started in 2019. It is insane that you have been able to see that. Like when we look, because there's a chart that she uses that compares industries and things like that. When she looked at that chart, she was like, how in the world you had a month where you weren't even doing anything and you were still above people in your industry, right? And those are the type of results that I like to generate for like my clients, right? So, I dibble and dabble here and there. Like I help people launch successfully, like build a strong foundational brand so that they don't have to worry about a lot of these issues down the line. But then I'm like, it's not fair for me to not help people who already got that down pat. They already are making sales, right? They're already doing all this stuff, but now they need to learn how to elevate. They need to learn how to scale, right? And so I help my clients do that as well, right? So I had a client, for example, she had been in business for a little over 2 years, or a little under 2 years, just about 2 years, right? And she was struggling, right? To the point where she hadn't even made 100 orders within that 2-year span. When we worked together, right, I went through my whole process with her, right? I do a 3-step process. And if you want to learn more about the 3-step process, I talk about it in my free training. But I went through my 3-step process with her. And what I did for her brand was, after we did all that, after we looked at the numbers, after we analyzed the numbers, after we basically revamped everything, right? Came up with a good elevation strategy for her. We did like a relaunch for her, because it had just been dead for too long. So for her, it just made sense for her to relaunch, right? Rebrand and relaunch, right? And so when we reinvented her brand, right, and her products and her strategies, she ended up making that 100th order within 2 months. So 2 years, couldn't hit 100 orders. 2 months, right? Claudia said, I'm coming your way, right? And Claudia, like, honestly, I'm about to tell you that right now, right? But she was able to do that, right? And then, right, then I have more, right? I helped a young lady with a boutique. Literally, she came to me struggling. She was like, I can't maintain anybody in my audience. Like, I'm struggling to get consistent sales. I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall, like some of y'all with the spaghetti emoji, right? And after we worked together, right, she was able to start securing 4 to 6 orders per day, which averaged 500 or more per day. If you do the math in a month, that takes you well over 5 figures, right? Well over. So those are just some of the people that I've worked with, right? Just some, right? And so for my people on here that been rocking with me like the whole time, right? That's actually like one of the reasons I've been so ghost on YouTube. So I came on here because I was like, I want to talk about where I've been, give y'all an update, talk about video ideas, all this stuff, right? And so one of the reasons I've been gone was because I was working on all this for y'all. I was working on my free training that I did last night. But then most importantly, I was working on this new program for my established business owners who are hitting that like sales cap, right? And so if y'all want to check it out, I put the link in my description box. I put the link to the free training and I put the link to the new program, right? And so Claudia, Mommy and Son, I forgot who else, Rarity, like all you guys, like go ahead and check that out. Read the whole page. The website is very informative. It tells you more about the program. And so the program is basically like a 10 week intensive group program to help you do that, just that, right? It's to help you refine your business, to help you rebrand your business and scale your business. Okay. And so check that out. Go to the link in my description box. The program is called Rebrand to Elevate. On the website, it even breaks down some of the modules, right? Because we're going to go through phases, right? It's within phases. So we're going to have, like, before we even touch phase 1, we're doing some mindset work, some goal setting. We're doing all that stuff. And then once you hit phase 1, we're going to start digging deep into your numbers. We're going to pull those numbers apart. In phase 2, we're going to analyze those numbers and kind of see what they mean. In stage 3, we're going to use the meaning of those numbers to reinvent your brand and business. And then stage 4, we're going to set you up to scale. Right? So please check that out. Claudia, Sheree, how do you say that? Shereen Elpoo. Shereen Elpoo, check that out. Mommy and Son, check it out. It's in my description box. And so the cool thing about the program is it's application based, right? Because I'm only accepting 20 people. So y'all, when I say I'm to the point where I just can't, like, mentally, I just want to see you win. So I want to just be able to focus, right? I want to be able to focus. And the best way for me to do that is to have an intimate group instead of trying to do like a large group of people who got all these mixed things going on. I want to help specifically with people who are ready to scale. You got to be ready to go get it, right? You have to be ready. You have to be the type that when you learn something, you're going to execute it. Because when I tell you the stuff that I am going to tell you works, they work. And on that website, you'll see other testimonials as well, but they work, right? And so definitely go check that out. Because it's going to be that group dynamic, you're going to get the accountability. You're going to get to meet other like-minded people, right? Which is amazing, because if you know anything, you know that your net worth is your network. And when I tell y'all, that is so true. I've been blessed to be a part of programs that I spent a pretty penny on, but I met so many amazing people within those programs, people who I'm still speaking to this day, who even helped me when I'm down, helped me with ideas, whatever, right? Claudia, okay, that's fine. Go, it's the Rebrand to Elevate link, right? And so y'all, if you've been in business for a while, right? I'm not talking if you just launched last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I'm talking about my 10-year business owners, right? You've been in business for a while. You're struggling because you're making those sales, right? But you're not making 5-figure months. You're not scaling to the point where you want to be. You need to scale, right? Because you want to be able to have an abundant lifestyle. You want to be able to afford a team that is honestly amazing, right? You want to be able to do that. You don't want no play team, and you don't want to keep doing this yourself, slaving in your business, working nights, weekends, and holidays, right? You don't want to do that, right? You want to be able to secure those 5-figure months. You want to be able to have a long-lasting brand. Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. One of the people I worked with in the past has her own storefront now. Let's talk about goals, right? I'm not playing small at all, right? And you shouldn't either, right? We want to make sure that you elevate, because it's all about elevation. It is the elevation for me. When I cut certain people off, it's because I'm elevating, right? When I move a certain way, it's because I'm elevating. I don't have time to stay stagnant. I don't have time to remain the same. And I don't have time to downgrade to get on your level. It's all about the elevation for me, right? And so if y'all have been rocking with me, you're an established business owner, you have those struggles. You want to get to that point of 5-figure months, but you have the struggles of you're doing everything yourself, you're frustrated, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, you're doing all these things, right, that just don't seem to work. You want to be able to build your team, live an abundant lifestyle. Check out that program. And for any of y'all who aren't willing to check out the program yet, right? But you still meet the requirements, and check out my free training so that you can learn a little bit more than I could share today, right? Right? So Rarity said 100%, right? And so, and the cool thing too is when you go to the program and you apply, it's a brief application, but you also have to schedule a call with me. So when you schedule that call, and trust me, if you're a new business owner, you haven't launched yet, you recently launched, and you schedule that call, your call will be canceled, okay? Because this program is only for those people that I just specified, right? So once you schedule a call with me, we talk about how the program can benefit you, how it can help transform your brand and your business, if you're a good fit, because remember, I want a certain type of person in this program. I don't want anybody that's going to bring the group down. I want a certain type of person in this program. So I'm going to really feel you out. We're going to talk about some things on that call. It's like a 20-minute call. And then from there, I make the decision. And if I make the decision that you are fit for the program, then we move on with the next steps, right? So you can check that out. Now, somebody said, do you have a course for new business owners? So the thing that I have for new business owners is called my eHustle Club. It's my membership group. Akara, yes. So you've been in business for 3 years. Yes. Do you have the problems I just listed? So are you struggling because you're doing everything yourself and you want to build a team? Are you making sales in your business, but you can't seem to scale to 5-figure months? Is that you? Are you trying all these things that don't seem to work? Is that you? Let me know in the chat box. Okay. And I'll put the link in the chat box too, for anybody who can't see my description, because I think I put it in my description. I'm pretty sure I did, because, but I'll put it right here so that if you do fit those requirements, you can go ahead and fill it out. Okay. And you can go ahead and apply. All right. And for Lana, like I said, check out the eHustle Club. If you go in my description or go on one of my other videos and scroll, it's in the description box. Or you could just go to ehustleclub.com. So that's for new business owners who haven't launched or recently launched the wrong way. Okay. So Akira, yeah, just go to that website, read through the website, see if any of those things resonate with you. Okay. Because I want, like I said, I want the right people in the program. So read through the website, see if any of those things resonate with you. And if it does, hit that apply button. I think it says book your consult. So hit that button, and then you'll fill out that brief application, and then you'll be able to book the consultation call with me. Okay. But y'all, any quick questions, because I do have to hop off and get prepped for another call of mine. Any quick questions that you have? Oh, and by the way, applications do close next Wednesday, just so y'all know. Okay. And I'm only taking 20 people. But yes, any quick questions that you may have, put it in the chat box, and I'll try to answer questions for like the next 5 minutes. How y'all feeling after this live, though? Was it helpful? I know that a couple of y'all said it was helpful, but how do you feel? How do y'all feel after this live? Let me see. Congratulations on your engagement. Thank you. Thank you, Akira. Thank you. All right, if y'all don't ask no questions, I'm going to hop off of this thing. Oh, why won't my thing? Is this frozen? Oh, there it is. You're welcome, Claudia. I'm a wait and see your application, girl. I'm gonna wait and see your application, Claudia. I'm gonna look out for that name, Claudia White. I'm gonna look out for that name. Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I feel more confident, Lana said. Oh, yeah. And Lana, you're the one that needs to check out the eHustle Club. Yes, you'll feel way more confident after joining that too. Akira said, I'm signed up now. All right, I'll look out for you too, Akira. Wholesale, yes, you'll be able to rewatch it. So YouTube is gonna post it up for you. So someone actually asked that same question, business BA. If you're talking about legalizing your business, you can have a website without legalizing your business. Is it recommended? Not so much. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not really going to speak on that much, but that's the answer. Okay. Any more questions? Let me know. Let me know. Any questions about YouTube? Do you have any YouTube content that you want me to put out? Any videos you want me to put out? Anything like that? Charles said, I'm feeling better. Your content and other videos told me what to stop doing and the importance of starting correctly. Yes, Charles. Yes, that is the goal. I was so sick of people just giving cookie cutter stuff. So I really needed to stress the importance of your brand and having those foundations when it's time for you to launch, because it could prevent a lot of mistakes. And then, right now, like I just spoke about, the importance of having that consistent brand, the importance of having a strategy that allows you to scale, knowing how to refine. So I love to talk about the stuff that a lot of people don't touch on because that's the truth if we're being completely honest, right? But yes, Charles, you're welcome, business BA. All right, y'all. So I'm about to hop off because I gotta prep for this call that I have. But I'll try to do lives more often on YouTube. Come on here, do some stuff. But if you have any video ideas, drop them in the chat real quick. Drop them in the chat. Also, would you recommend business card, thank you cards, products, and content before I build my Shopify? So business cards and thank you cards have nothing to do with building your Shopify, but you need to have products and product pictures before creating your website. Yes. And then in regards to business card and thank you cards, if I feel like they can help you with your visual brand, yes, they can. But definitely get those products together first and then take those product pictures before creating a website. All right, y'all got 1 minute. I'm watching the clock. TikTok. TikToky. Boom, 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 boom. I need to pull up my Zoom. You're welcome. All right, y'all. So I'm going to talk to y'all later. I'm going to see y'all on the flip side. Have a great night and a great remainder of your week. Praying for success for you in whatever stage of business you're in. For the people who actually went and filled out an application, I'll be on the lookout for that. Can't wait to speak to you about. Oh, thank you, Lana. Can't wait to speak to you about how the program can help you. It's going to create transformations for so many people. Well, at least the 20 exclusive people that's going to be in the program. It's going to create so much transformation for y'all. So I'm super excited. So I'll talk to y'all later. Okay. Bye.